You are looking at a view of AurigaMax Launch Vehicle 24 as it awaits its liftoff about 4 minutes from now. This test will demonstrate the effectiveness of our launch escape system, lifting off from Space Launch Complex 3 at Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. This launch will be using a rigged booster and dummy second stage. We have a graphic here that shows the inner stage's lack of vacuum engine, and you can also see that there is no recovery hardware. Reminder that this is not a normal launch. The main goal is to successfully test Scorpius's launch escape system, but we are prepared if things go wrong. Following the initiation of the escape, the booster and upper stage will be destroyed by the aerodynamic forces or the flight termination system. Let's get an overview of what today's flight will look like. What you just saw there in that animation was the launch vehicle stack lifting off from Slick 3 East. Shortly after liftoff we begin a pitch-over maneuver to obtain the proper flight path, as if it were a normal mission. At T+1 minute we will command the engine shutdown, and then immediately after that the launch abort will be initiated. Reminder that it is not ground control, commanding the escape. It's 100% up to the onboard computers to decide when. Alter the hypergolic SAS motors burnout. We will coast briefly before separating the capsule for it to return to Earth. There are no astronauts on board today's flight test. Also, in case you are unfamiliar with Scorpius or AurigaMax, here you go. AurigaMax is our state-of-the-art partially reusable medium launch vehicle which, after some more tests, can take 25 tons to low Earth orbit reusable, and even more expendable. It is fueled by liquid methane and liquid oxygen which run through the 3 first stage engines to take it into the upper atmosphere. The stages, separate, and the upper one ignites its single methane engine with a larger nozzle optimized for the vacuum of space. The booster, or first stage, is the reusable part that returns to Earth to be reused on a future mission. Scorpius is our crew-rated capsule that can carry 4 astronauts with a higher maximum. It has 2 parts, the service module which houses electronics, fuel, and the abort motors, which will be fired on Ascent today. Half of it is fitted with solar panels to provide electricity and power for the crew capsule. The capsule is the upper part. It had a docking port, RCS thrusters, and a heat shield to survive re-entry in order to bring our crew safely back home. The system is truly a modern spacecraft. Let's talk about Scorpius recovery operations. We aim to fully recover the capsule on a crewed flight in about an hour, minimizing the time the crew has to sit there. Today, we will take longer as there is, as mentioned before, no crew aboard today's test flight. If something were to go wrong, we have partnered with the US military to deploy elite teams which will recover the crew at remarkably high speeds using helicopters and boats. If that does happen, recovering Scorpius is a secondary operation. At ASC we focus on reliability and safety, which is why we have these measures implemented. Alright, now let's listen into mission control and rocket audio as Launch Vehicle 24 lifts off.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 2, 1. We have liftoff.
In case you are just joining us, we have had a successful liftoff of Scorpius Capsule 2R on its in-flight abort test. In a few moments here we will have main engine cut off, and right then the launch abort will be initiated. The SAS hypergolic motors will burn for a few seconds before cutting off and deploying the service module to allow the capsule to return to Earth safely.
Abort initiation.
Pyros 1 and 2 discharge both sides.
Telemetry loss. Capsule separation confirmed. Covered jettison plus reorientation. RCS thrusters firing normally.
The test is well underway with what looks like a successful launch abort initiation, capsule and its parachute and docking port cover separation, S&D finally reorientation for atmospheric re-entry. And we do have a report, loss of telemetry from AurigaMax's booster. The Scorpius capsule is now descending back to Earth. The next major milestone is atmospheric re-entry. At a little under T+4.5 minutes the drogue parachutes will deploy. These are used to gradually show the capsule down and limits forces on the crew. We also have rotating seats with shock absorption so the crew is still safe in the event of a hard landing. Coming up shortly here you'll see some heat form around the vehicle. This is due to the high speeds and re-entry. And, back in the parachutes, they are protected on ascent and technically on orbit by this protective cover that was jettisoned right after service module separation. This cover is deployed, on a real mission, right after the spacecraft separates from the second stage. It also covers the docking port which is used to connect to other vehicles, in the future our space station. We'll be announcing that as well as some other big things at Eon Tech Day 2023 which you can go read on our Discord server that'll be linked below this stream. And the vehicle is now preparing for the parachute deployment sequence. Some loud cheers here as the test progresses successfully.
And there's those drogue chutes, and you can hear the crowd here very excited to see them deploy.
Drogue chute descent rate nominal and visual on 2 healthy drogues.
Those main parachutes will be deploying any second now. With a capsule at about 200 meters our recover ship is approaching the area, and our debris recovery teams are beginning to recover debris from the booster stack. Anyways the capsule descent rate is nominal and the flight is almost over. Truly an exciting test this evening.
And we are down.
Down a little bit early, in fact. And there you can see the recovery boat beginning to approach instantly.
And there we go, a successful end to today's test. It certainly looks like a successful one, but that'll be told by the data. Following the validation we'll be ready to fly crew as early as next month. This will bring our coverage to a close. Thank you for joining us today and we'll see you next time. This is Auriga Mission Control, signing off.